Paramatman, Paramatman Sanskrit, Paramat, IAST, Paramatman or Paramātmā, is the Absolute Atman, or Supreme Self, in various philosophies such as the Vedanta and Yoga schools in Hindu theology, as well as other Indian religions like Sikhism. Paramatman is the primordial self, or the self beyond, who is spiritually identical with the absolute and ultimate reality. Selflessness is the attribute of Paramatman, where all personality/individuality vanishes. Etymology. The word stem Paramatman pronounced Parama, Tman, its nominative singular being Paramatma Paramātmā, pronounced Parama, Tma, is formed from two words, Parama, meaning supreme or highest, and Atma, which means individual self. The word Atman generally denotes the individual self, but by the word Paramatman, which word also expresses boundless life, boundless consciousness, boundless substance, and boundless space, is meant the Atman of all Atmans, or the Supreme Self, or the Universal Self. The word Atman, which literally means non-darkness or light, is Brahman, the subtlest, indestructible divine existence. The word Paramatman refers to the creator of all. Jainism. In Jainism, each Atman or individual self is a potential Paramatman or God. Both are essentially the same. It remains as Atman only because of its binding karmic limitations, until such time as those limitations are removed. As Paramatman, the Atman represents the ultimate point of spiritual evolution. Even though Jain mysticism centers around Atman and Paramatman because it believes in the existence of soul, in Jainism, which accepts neither Vedic authority nor monism, all enlightened souls are referred to as Paramatman and regarded as gods. Jainism honors the soul of each man as its own eternally distinct savior. Since the Paramatman of Jainism is unable to create and govern the world, there is no place of God as a creator and bestower of fortune. Buddhism. Buddhism, as per Buddha, Paramatman is referred to what only is Brahman universe itself. Hinduism. Hindus conceptualize the Parabrahman in diverse ways. In the Advaita Vedanta tradition, Nirguna Brahman without attributes is Parabrahman. In Dvaita and Vishishtadvaita Vedanta traditions, Saguna Brahman with qualities is Parabrahman. In Vaishnavism, Shaivism and Shaktism, Vishnu, Shiva and Shakti respectively are Parabrahman. Mahaganapati is considered as Parabrahman by the Ganapatiya sect. Description in the Upanishads. The sage of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad Roman 4.2, although not using the word Paramatman, explains that at the time of release the portion aspect of the Paramatman and the portion aspect of the Jiva presiding in the right eye become unified with the Paramatman and the Jiva presiding in the heart. Then the Jiva does not see, smell, taste, speak. Paramatman goes out riding on the Jiva following consciousness and work, knowledge of former life or natural capacity. In the Prashna Upanishad Roman 4:11, the word Atman cannot refer to Jiva because the Jiva cannot of its own accord throw off its body or understand avidya, therefore it refers to Paramatman. The Jiva attains moksha when he actually knows the Paramatman, the Asarya or Prajnatman, to be thousand-headed, to be the governor of all, and to be superior to all. Thus, Paramatman is one of the many aspects of Brahman and has all attributes of Brahman. Atman spirit and Paramatman God are one. Some say they are distinct as well as one. They are one with reference to Shakti but distinct with reference to that power. Parable of the two birds. The word Paramatman is not to be found in the Rig Veda but through allusion referring to Paramatman as Isha. This distinction is made because all of its mantras, which in the form of prayers are addressed to gods. In its great riddle Himsukta I 164 is the famous mantra RVI 164.20 that was revealed to Rishi Dirgatama Akathiya and borrowed by Mundaka Upanishad Roman 3:1.1-3, which belongs to Atharva Veda, to weave the parable of the two birds, beautiful of wings, close companions, cling to one common tree. Of the two, one eats the sweet fruit of that tree. The other eats not but watches his companion. The self is the bird that sits immersed on the common tree, but because he is not Lord he is bewildered and has sorrow. But when he sees that other who is the Lord and the beloved, he knows that all is his greatness and his sorrow passes away from him. When a seer, he sees the golden hued, the Maker, the Lord, the Spirit who is the source of Brahman, then he becomes the knower and shakes from his wings sin and virtue. Pure of all stains, he reaches the supreme identity. Aurobindo makes the spirit, or Purusha, the source of everything, including Brahman. He makes Purusha more fundamental. Thus, he does not have to say Brahman to be the source of inferior Brahman, and he also dismisses the sense of reality revealed in imaginative and emotional build-up. Case of two souls. The dualistic school of philosophy initiated by Anandatirtha draws its support from the aforecited passage as well as from the passage of Katha Upanishad I. 3.1 of an earlier Upanishad that speaks about two souls which taste the fruits of action, both of which are lodged in the recess of the human heart, and which are different from each other as light and shade, that carried the flaw. How could the universe? The followers of Madhava draw their support from the Bhagavad Gita Roman 15:16 that speaks about two persons in this world, the mutable and the immutable. The mutable is all these things, while the immutable is the one who exists at the top of them. One is the Jivatman and the other Paramatman. Jivatman is Chit, the sentient, and Paramatman is Isvara. Both have the same attributes. They are inseparably present together on the tree which is a Chit, the insentient, or the gross avidya component of existence. Jivatman and Paramatman are both seated in the heart. The former is driven by the three modes of nature and acts. The latter simply witnesses as though approving the former's activities. The relationship between Paramatma, the universal self, and Atma, the individual self, is likened to the indwelling God and the soul within one's heart. Paramatman is one of the many aspects of Brahman. Paramatman is situated at the core of every individual jiva in the macrocosm. The Upanishads do compare Atman and Paramatman to two birds sitting like friends on the branch of a tree body, where the Atman eats its fruits karma, and the Paramatman only observes the Atman as a witness saxon of his friend's actions. Advaita. In Advaita philosophy, individual souls are called Jivatman, and the highest Brahman is called Paramatman. The Jivatman and the Paramatman are known to be one and the same when the Jivatman attains the true knowledge of the Brahman Sanskrit Brahmajnana. In the context of Advaita, the word Paramatman is invariably used to refer to Nirguna Brahman, with Ishvara and Bhayavan being terms used to refer to Brahman with qualities, or Saguna Brahman. Brahman and Isvara are not synonymous words. The apparent similarity is on account of similar-looking attributes imagined with regard to the impressions these two words activate. According to Advaita, Isvara is Brahman associated with Maya in its excellent aspect. As the empirical reality, it is the determinate Brahman. Isvara has no reality apart from Brahman. The Svetasvatara Upanishad developed the conception of a personal God. The Katha Upanishad states that never has any man been able to visualize Paramatman by means of sight, heart, imagination, or mind. The Anandamaya Kosha is the Isvara of the Upanishads. Gaudapada called duality Maya and non-duality the only reality. Maya is the cosmic nescience that has in it the plurality of subject and object, and therefore Isvara is organically bound with the world. Beyond the prana or Isvara is the state of the infinite limitless Brahman, which is why in the Bhagavad Gita Roman 7:24 Krishna tells Arjuna, not knowing my unsurpassable and undecaying supreme nature, the ignorant believe me to have assumed a finite form through birth. With regard to the cause of samsara, as to where it resides and the means of its removal, Adi Shankara in his Vivekachudamani 49 instructs that the individual self is the Paramatman in reality. The association of the individual self with ajnana, i.e. with avidya, which he terms as anatmabanta, bondage by the anatman or non-atman, makes it to identify itself with gross, subtle, and causal bodies, and from that arises samsara, which is of the form of superimposition of qualities of Vaishnavism. Paramatman is beyond knowledge and ignorance, devoid of all material attributes upati. In chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita, Paramatman is described as Krishna residing in the hearts of all beings and in every atom of matter. He is the overseer and the permitter of their actions. Paramatman is different from five elements Pancha Mahabhutas, the senses, mind, pradhana, and jiva. Vaishnava sects maintain that attaining knowledge of Brahman and identification of Atman with Brahman is an intermediate stage of self-realization, and only Bhakti Yoga can lead to the next step of Paramatman realization as the indwelling God, ultimately leading up to liberation mukti by God realization. The Vishnu, or the deity of the quality of goodness in the material world, is the Purusa avatar known as Kasiradakase Vishnu or Paramatma, one, Atma, one, Matma, one. In Bengal, Vaishnava Krishna is viewed as one endowed with his essential Svarupa Shakti. He is Bhagavat in full manifestation, endowed with Jivasakti and Mayasakti, he the Paramatman and Brahman. Brahman, Paramatman, and Bhagavan are three gradations of the ultimate reality. Time